I mean, a few artists that I aspire to work with. I mean, I would say my top one is J. Cole. And I actually just, I won't say I met him, but I actually just well, met him here in Charlotte while he was doing his trunk tour for the Fall Off album. You
Yeah.
know, Kendrick Lamar, of course. I think those are two of the greatest.
Thanks for watching Worldwide Entertainment TV. Don't forget to subscribe and watch more videos right here.
An artist from North Carolina by the name of Lee. Could you tell us a little bit of your backstory?
Well, appreciate you having me on. You know, like you said, my name is Lee. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. So, you know, we were
Okay.
talking a little bit about the cold weather. So I'm very familiar with it. But now I live in Charlotte, North
Uh,
Carolina. I had to get away from the snow, man. It wasn't for me. But
no.
I'm an independent artist. I've been making music since I was a really young child, but I've been taking it seriously probably ever since 2020. And since
Yeah.
I've been taking it seriously, I've released several EPs, I've released an album, couple of music videos, and I've done several shows throughout the Carolinas. And I actually have one coming up in Columbus, Ohio as well.
Okay, so what was that pivotal moment, realization that this was something that you needed to do more seriously?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So to give the full picture, like I've always have been doing music. I always wrote raps. It was like a thing that I did as a kid.
Yeah.
But I never like truly took it that serious just because of the feedback that you get from family members and friends. And, you know, it's just like you get discouraged a little bit. But when I got older in 2020, I went back home and I was visiting some friends from high school and he had a basement studio. You know, we're down there, we're hanging out, having a good time. Everyone's freestyling on beats. And people know that I write raps, but like no one's really heard me rap for real. Um,
Yeah.
so like it gets to a point where it comes to me and then I do a freestyle and then like you can hear a pin drop in the room and everyone's just staring at me in awe, kind of like, yo, I didn't know, like, I knew you rap, but I didn't know, like, you rap, like, you rap for real.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone, like, you know, like, when you just a group of friends freestyling, there's some people playing around, some people taking it serious. But I was the only one that was actually had a subject matter and was doing metaphors and putting bars together and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and just that instant reaction that I got from people, some folks that I met for the first time in the room, some people that I've known all my life, and everyone in the room gave me the same reaction of, you know, basically this guy is dope. This dude is on a different level. And that gave me a little bit of the confidence I needed to start taking it more serious.
So what first song or record would that be?
So that's it's not the exact same, but it's very similar to Ready Freestyle that I put out on my first project, or my first EP
Yeah.
called the Project Part One. So Ready Freestyle Part One is basically fairly similar to what it was that I did in the studio that day. I actually recorded it the same day. So I did that freestyle. Everyone went crazy. And then shortly after that, it was now we got to record this. So then we started like tailoring it, making it sound a little bit better, fine tuning it and everything like that. And you know, what you hear now is the cleaned up version.
Okay. So if someone hears your music for the first time, what do you want them to feel?
Um, you know, I want them to feel grounded. You know, like I always have different subject matters. I'm always talking about something different. Um, I'm a guy that likes to have a good time, but doesn't mind the serious conversations. I don't mind being real, but I also like to have fun and just be silly. So my
Yeah.
music can has that range where there's gonna be a couple of records that's really gonna make you think, and there's gonna be a couple of records where you just going all you gotta do, all I want you to do is bob your head, and there's gonna be a couple of records that might make a lady get up and start, you know, shaking a little something. So different
Yeah.
range, but you know, for the most part, I just want people to have feel a little bit of joy when they listen to my music, and if not joy, if it's a song that's not about a happy subject matter, at least have something that's going to resonate with you. Where after you listen, it's still sitting with you a couple hours later or a few days later.
So how would you describe your sound in 3 words?
In 3 words, lyrical, direct, and I would say I'll give you it's a 2 word, but thought provoking. Lyrical, direct, and thought provoking.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a really good way to sum up how I approach music and how I am in the studio.
So are you more melody driven or lyric driven?
Oh man, lyrical driven by far.
Okay.
I can't hold a tune for nothing. I've tried doing I've tried the auto tune, I've tried the melodies. It never works out. And every time I try to do it, I just end up going back to, what works for me and what's my sound. So like I've had moments in the studio where engineers or producers have told me like, bro, you're trying to sound like somebody else. And that's not who
Yeah.
you are. You gotta go in here and be you and sound like you. So once I understood that, that's when I kind of dropped all the melodies and the auto tunes and things like that.
Yeah.
I like listening to it. I think it sounds really good when you know what you're doing. It's just I don't me personally, I don't have the voice for it. I think I'm, a little bit more raw when it comes to my music and
Yeah. That's the
less is
thing.
more when it comes to how I record.
People, lots of people think when they use the auto tune, the person can't sing, but the person has to have a little thing for the auto tune to at least still catch.
Yeah, I mean you don't really have to be a good singer, but you
You
gotta
know how to
have
make it super
something.
good. Yeah,
You
you have
gotta
to
have
have some.
And that's my problem is I don't have that, like I'm
Yeah.
very I mean, me holding the tune is really tough. So I just prefer to be really, really raw with my music as much as I can for the most part.
So if there were any artists in history you want to collaborate with, who would they be and why?
Do I only get one? You giving me like one option?
No, yeah, whoever it
Oh, okay.
comes to.
Well, I mean a few artists that I aspire to work with. I mean, I would say my top one is J. Cole.
Yeah.
And I actually just I won't say I met him, but I actually just met him here in Charlotte while he was doing his trunk tour for the Fall Off album.
Um, yeah.
Kendrick Lamar, of course. I think those are two of the greatest. Um, I as a Midwest guy, I have to I've always listened to Kanye West. I've always been a big fan of him. And,
Yeah.
despite of what he does outside of music, he's still a musical genius. And to be able to work with him would be a huge honor. Pharrell as well, like that's a really great producer. Um,
Yeah.
and, Benny the Butcher, like Benny the Butcher is a really dope artist. I think he has great lyrics. I love his punchlines. I think he's bringing something back to hip hop that's been missing for a while. And he's influenced me quite a bit as well when it comes to my music. So a record with Benny the Butcher would be huge. So as far as it goes for rappers, my top
Yeah.
three might be J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Benny the Butcher, and then for producers, Pharrell and Kanye West.
Okay, so when you write for your music, do you do it draw from like personal experience or do you create characters and stories? Because some of those
It's
artists are known for doing characters and stories.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. There's are times where I'm gonna pull from like my own personal stories that I'll share. And there's also times where I'll pull from stories from people that I know. But, to have discretion, I'll turn that person into a character. So
Yeah,
I'm not like blasting a business out there or anything like that. But it's just like if they know that's their story, they know.
you
It's not
know,
like
yeah,
everyone in the world knows this is your story. So I like to do a little bit of both. Like Polly's Interlude is a record I put out on my album, and that's one that is a character. Polly is a character on the song, but it's inspired by, someone that I know personally very well. Um, and
yeah.
it's not necessarily stories about them, but it's more of the persona, the energy of who they are
All
is
the
put into this
sketch.
song.
Yeah. So what's the hardest song you've ever had to write emotionally?
Hardest song I've ever had to write emotionally. Um, There's a couple of them, but one I can say for sure is That's How I See It. Um, that's one that's really deep, really personal. And I'm
Yeah,
more or less talking about society and what I've noticed is going on around me, what's happening in the country, what's happening in this world, what's happening to people that look like me. But there's also like a lot of elements that are very personal where I'm putting this in here. And some of it is stuff that only one or two family members know. Some of it's stuff that no one knows that's in that song.
yeah,
So when I actually recorded it, when I initially went to the studio, I tried to kick everybody out because it was like so personal. I was just like, there's stuff that's about to be shared on this that no one knows, and I'd rather it's just me and the engineer in here rather than me engineering all my peoples with me. Um, and they
yeah.
refused to leave because they was like, look, we all family, we all, like there ain't nothing you can say that ain't gonna shock us because they know the type of person I am. So they
Yeah.
did stay in the studio, but it still came out really, really great. And that's one of the ones that I get some of the most positive feedback on is that record. That's how I see it.
Okay, so how do you balance artistry with the social media and algorithms
No,
and that
yeah. Yeah. You're talking to a dude that understands the value of social media,
yeah,
um, but doesn't really participate in it at the level he probably should. Me personally, I'm big on what's real. And I know that 60, 70% of social media isn't, which is what draws me away. But I also know that 30, 40% or whatever is very real. It can really, do a lot for you. So I always just focus on delivering good music that I like, music that I think hip hop needs. Um, I post from time to time, not nearly as frequently as I should. Um,
yeah,
but I'm kind of more like in the moment. Now, anything I want to share is going to go to my Instagram first. That's the best way I can get in connection with my fans. And be able to keep them updated on what's going on.
yeah,
But like I'm not a social media personality, me personally. Like a
yeah.
lot of stuff my wife will help make my posts and my videos. She does all the social media stuff. So she helps it a little bit better, tells me when I need to post, what I need to post, and I just give her my phone and let her do her thing.
So it's funny you brought up the whole authenticity of everything with the
Yeah.
social media era. Which era of music do you think was the most authentic?
Most authentic. I think my thoughts on hip hop is hip hop originated the most authentic. So when we're talking, Run DMC, and when we're talking that era, the
Yeah,
'70s, late '70s, '80s, stuff like that. Um, that's when it was extremely authentic because it was like, this is a new concept. Hip hop is new. So what do I
yeah,
don't have to lie about anything. I'm just talking about what I do. And as it progressed, it stayed
yeah,
pretty original and authentic, like gangster rap and stuff like that. Those was guys telling just their story. It just so happened that they was gangsters. So that's how it went. And I think as time moved on, it started becoming less and less original, or less and less authentic. I mean, I would say ever probably the 2010s and after, I think is when I started to see, in my opinion, a lot of inauthenticity in hip hop.
yeah,
It seemed like there was a lot of people either that was talking about stuff that they've never done, got no association with, and actually lived a lifestyle completely opposite, or
yeah,
went out and intentionally did things so that they could rap about it because that's what was cool to rap about. Um, and technically that's authentic, but to me, if you go out and sell drugs just so you can rap about selling drugs, then your motivation to sell drugs isn't the same as the
yeah,
original OG drug dealers who was like, yo, I'm trying to just get out. I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to get out. Like, this is why I'm doing it. Whereas you're doing it for clout. I say to each his own. If that's what your plan is, then that's totally fine. And I don't mean any disrespect, but for me, that's just not my way. So like my latest EP, Madura Blend, That was my whole focus is how can I talk about what I'm actually doing right now? A lot of my music has been what I used to do, what it was like when I was coming up or growing up in Columbus, Ohio. But let me talk about right now. Let me talk about being a father. Let me talk about being a husband. Let me talk about buying houses. Let me talk about working a job, taking care of my family, because that's the life I'm living now. And
Yeah.
it's not common in hip hop to hear it, but like that's real. And that's all I can give you is my real authentic self.
So as you did that, did you have to like unlearn certain things as time progressed so you could grow as an artist?
What do you mean unlearn certain things?
Like when you first started doing the music, people have one perception, but then after
Oh
you
yeah.
actually start doing it seriously,
Oh yeah.
you do certain things and then you say, okay, I have to change
Oh
that
yeah.
because
Like
it's
I'm
not
I guess
this way.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, like if you listen
Yeah.
to when I was a real young kid rapping, which is probably why I didn't get a lot of the best feedback, but I was inauthentic. I was talking about millions of dollars and 50, 40 women and I drive this and I sip that, yada yada yada. I got these chains on, boom, boom, boom. I'm 14, I'm 13, I'm 12 years old. I haven't even hit puberty yet. And you talking about millions of dollars and women and chains. So like I think that's why a lot of it was like, no, I'm not feeling this. Because it wasn't real. But, I intentionally was trying to be authentic. So, naturally with hip hop, if you just freestyling, you having fun, that's gonna come out.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
Yeah.
bravado and talk your talk. And usually that's how I
Yeah.
start writing. It's just freestyling, figuring out what I like and pull from it. And so I would like say something that's not real. I'm like, okay, well, you can't put that on the track. That's not you. You gotta clean that up or you gotta take that out. So that's why I like to focus on lyricism, because it really shows like a level of talent and you can be super creative. You know what I mean? So, you can talk about having a car and you're not like talking about a Phantom, a Rolls Royce, or a Lamborghini, but you can still talk about your car and make it sound just as cool if you know
Yeah.
how to set the bar up and if you know how to be lyrical. So, that's why I like to focus on that level of hip hop.
So what does success look like for you? The numbers or the impact?
Oh, impact. The numbers are great. It's a good way for you to track your progress of how you're coming along. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, I'm making music that I like and that I think is missing. And I measure my success based off of the impact that I'm having within my community. If people will listen to my music and then say, you know what, I decided to get up and go open an investment portfolio because I listened to your music. That's successful to me. If people wake up and say, you know what, I decided to wake up and be a better dad than I was yesterday because I listened to your song, then that's,
Sure.
successful to me. So
Yeah.
the numbers are great, but I really want to focus on having like that real impact that can, shape and change my community for the better.
So if someone was just discovering your music, what songs would you say for them to check out first
Uh,
to get to know
yeah,
you?
like I would say Backyard Freestyle is probably the first one you should listen to. That's on my album. You got McDonald's money. It's a first track, and it's really more of a introduction to the clean and professional rapper Lee. Letting you know like
Yeah.
I put in the work, I've gotten better. Now this is who I am. I think you should listen to Ready Freestyle Part One and Two because that's just like my general style that I like. I would say Push Button Started. That's one of my bigger records. And then as of lately, I would also say you should listen to you should listen to 90 Cents on my latest EP, Madura Blend and Bolognese
Yeah.
Freestyle. So all of those are like if you just listen to one, you're gonna get a good feel for my vibe and who I am. But if you listen to all of those, then you're gonna truly understand what I'm about, where I come from, and where I think I'm going.
So where do you see Lee in 5 years?
No man. Well, 5 years, I see myself definitely released at least another album, probably
Yeah.
2 more EPs. Good chance I'll have a second kid, so I'll not just be talking about 1 child, but 2.
Yeah.
Um, I see myself, having a bigger impact, potentially working with some of those artists that I listed earlier and having close relationships with them. But also inspiring a new group of people behind me as well that can say, you know what, I really like what Lee is doing and I want to rap too. And if I want to rap, I want to rap like Lee. Like, I think that's where I want to be in 5 years.
Okay. So is there anything else you want to leave the viewers?
Um, Only other thing I'll share is that you can follow me on Instagram at Lee triple underscore music. That's LEE underscore 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 music. That's where I post most of my information. I do have a show coming up on April 10th in Columbus, Ohio. It's going to be a live show at the Mini Fest. So please buy your tickets and come out. If you are interested in listening or checking out the show, but you don't want to travel to Ohio, no worries. There is a live stream link where you can purchase tickets for that and watch it from the comfort of your home. So I appreciate any support I can get. This is something I'm really passionate about, but this
Yeah.
also isn't something easy. So any support I can get is huge to me, and I appreciate it.
Okay. So thanks for coming on the broadcast, telling us your story.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. No problem, man.